All right. All right. Please state your name.
I'm Deacon Floyd Hohman,
All right. And if you don't mind, could you tell me your age?
83.
All right. All right, Floyd. It says here that you were a farmer. Okay. Did you grow up in Santa County?
Oh yes, yes, uh-huh.
All right. And did you come from a large family?
Well, we had five in our family. Yeah, it wasn't large in my day. It is, because it is now. But at that time, five children weren't very many.
I see that. So when you were young, what was your favorite subject in school?
Science.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So, and since you're a farmer, what agricultural societies were you involved in?
Well, I was mainly with the National Farmers Organization. I think it's 56 or 7 years I've been a member there, but I was part of their staff for a while. I was on the Ohio Board of Directors for 27 years and 3 years on the National Board of Directors out in Iowa. It was quite an experience.
Right. So did you come from a family of farmers?
Yes, pretty much so. He was just one uncle, both sides of the family, but yeah, but it was known as a farm family. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and do you know how many acres your farm had? Your family's farm had?
Well, we had 160 that Dad owned, but then we'd rent maybe some additional ground at times.
Okay. And when you were a farmer, how many did you do?
I did as high as 550 at one time.
Wow.
And I'm trying to keep track of myself. And but the first work I did was with horses. We had horses, and I did a lot of work with the horses. And the happy day was the day I came home from school. I think it's about 8th grade. Oh, there's a truck out there. What's the truck? Dad sold the horses. I liked it.
That's cool.
You liked it?
Yes, because I got to drive the tractor more.
All right, so what are some of the changes and progressions in farming that you have experienced over the years?
Oh my golly, the equipment, the type of operations. We always had livestock, and most farms today aren't with livestock. The livestock got so big, big groups of hog farming, big dairies, big beef farms, and I had some of everything over the time. And I think in my time, see, right now I got time to think because my eye condition is bad, so I can't see much, I can't read much. And I got to thinking the other week here, over the years I probably birthed 40,000 pigs.
Wow.
600 calves. But I couldn't be one of those that would buy the pigs or buy the calves to finish them. I had to start them from scratch, and I think that was the farmer that was bringing new life out of the earth. And this is bringing new life. But I never, but that number's got to be somewhere close to what I've had.
That's impressive.
Yes. So what was the hardest part about farming to you?
Yeah, there really wasn't any what I considered a hard part because I enjoyed it.
All right.
I wanted to do it, and that's why I got involved in working with other people or working with leadership and that. Yeah, there's not an hour on the clock that I haven't been on the field in the tractor, combine, 2, 3 in the morning, whatever. It's just working with the weather, with the environment. That's always difficult. You got to push yourself to do it.
So besides farming, you said that you were a deacon. What was your inspiration for becoming a deacon?
I think I have to go back to when I was just small, when I was just raised. Parents always took me to church, but I got involved in helping a church for this or that, and I was a mass server. And my cousin, who lived 30 mile away, and 30 mile away back 75 years ago, or 65 years ago, was pretty far. But anytime we got together, Bill and I, we hit it off. Well, after the 8th grade, I heard they said Bill was going to the seminary. Ooh, I had a lot of feelings for it. But long story short, 2 years later, when I was a sophomore, my family, we went to the seminary where he was. I think it was 100 and some young boys. But you know, your hormones change from 8th grade to sophomore. Mm-hmm. I saw 2 females that day, all day. My wife, my mother, and my sister were the only 2 females. I said, no, this ain't for me. So then I got involved in youth work at CYO and different adult youth groups. And then in the late 1980s, I started with what they called the ministry formation program, and it wasn't really for to develop. It was needed to develop to be a clergy, and I always laugh about it. A very good friend of my parents were there. The farm wasn't even too close by, but he just wondered if I wanted to farm his farm. He always liked me, and yeah, boy, I was getting this feeling about getting into the clergy part, and that was good, because that was too busy. That was my excuse for not getting it, and I could quit. And there it went on for 3 years. I farmed his, and it just kept bugging me. I had to go back in. I called the director at Toledo, asked him if now it's been 3 years since I've been out. Do I have to take any classes over? He came he said, come over to Findlay. In 2 weeks we're having a special informational session. When I got there, he got out of his car right ahead of me. And we walked in together. Well, he said, I always knew you'd be back. I just didn't know when. What in the world did he know about me that he knew I'd be back? So, but I used those things, and I believed them, and I felt part of it. So it was then on. I completed at that time. We had 8 years of preparation, and that is with the ministry. See, part of my problem now, the stroke affected my thinking, and sometimes I lose something right in the middle of it. But it was 5 years of what they called ministry formation, 3 years of diaconate preparation. Our wives were also part of it, and that was a good part, that they understood what we were doing. And were ordained in 2000. That was a day that I just never dreamed would happen. And through that, before that, I was involved with rural ministry. I was director of a 3-state rural ministry program and farming. That was a 20-hour-a-week job. I worked Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and it was a growth. And that was back in the 90s, and that was a growth, a spiritual growth for me. I just working with the people in the farm, and and the farm areas. And yeah, that worked with me. And then I can use the term church politics. It was grant funded, and the 3-year grant had run out, and they didn't refund it. It stopped, and I was disappointed that it stopped at that part. There was no fund for it, but I still, some of the people in Michigan and Indiana and throughout Ohio are still friends of mine, and I learned so much from them. So, yeah, we went, after the whole circle. I think I was on 5 different farms. I was always, I want to get a little bigger, get a little bigger, get a little bigger. Well, now I settled back down, but yeah, I've had a happy life, with my wife and.
You may have already answered this, so forgive me if you have to repeat yourself.
Go ahead.
What parish did you serve in as deacon in?
And then it was New Riegel St. Boniface. But they combined some parishes, and they changed the name of that parish to All Saints because it involved 3 different parishes. So that's where I was. But I was involved in other parishes in between after we were married, in Fostoria and Tiffin and Clyde and Bucyrus, and that's where a lot of my spiritual growth, I think, and I've had time now to really stop and think. I never took time to stop and think. You just, when God sent me a lot of different places to learn, and that's what I think. When I came and then we finally settled down right closer to my home, not so far away, and I was in 3 different counties, and it was a very good ride. But they always laugh. We had a child born until the last 2 were born in our the final home, but every time we moved, we had another child, and that was kind of a little comical thing that they always said. But we ended up with six children. They're all doing well.
Awesome. So how many years were you a deacon?
It'll be 20 this year. May 20th will be 20 years.
Cool. So did you perform any baptisms or marriages?
Oh, yes. Not too many marriages, but that depended on the pastor. And some places, deacons do a lot of the marriages. I didn't do many, I had a few. But baptisms, I had as many as, I don't know, often thought about, I think I've got papers in all of them, maybe 100, maybe more. I know there was 4, the most I did at one time was 4 families you're working with and that. And that's a joy, seeing the new life in those people. And that goes back with that whole new life that I needed out of the farming, and it all tied together.
Mm-hmm. So what was the most enjoyable part about being a deacon?
Visiting the nursing homes was the most enjoyable part. Now, I had to give homilies, I had to write articles and all that. The part that I miss the most is visiting the people. I have figured out, I went to 17 different nursing homes during my time in the last 20 years. And I don't know, I'd like to figure out sometime how many people I've seen. I would leave and they would thank me for stopping in and all that. Why? I was doing my thing. No. Now that I'm on the other side of the door, I am very thankful when someone stops. Mm-hmm. And but I didn't understand that. So I'm running both sides of the thing now.
Gotcha. So you said you had 6 children. I'm guessing you have grandchildren?
8 grandchildren, 11 greats.
Wow.
We have one in Tennessee, born on my wife's 80th birthday. And so I've got to call her every year. I called her just a month ago. And, you know, her sounds like she's 10 years old when you talk to her. She's been in old school and everything else. But, yeah, since my wife died this past year.
Oh.
And that's why it's been a little difficult. We came to a home. My wife was twice two-time cancer survivor.
Wow.
The one time she was listed as stage 4, and got her straightened around, experimental chemo, and it really changed. She was quite stooped over, and we just feel that medical profession is never going to say that that's what did it, but I think it was the chemo that they used. But hey, she was around 8 more years, and that made a difference. And so she had a few other problems, medical. She then we came to the home. Yeah, I had 2 strokes, one in April of 18, another in October. And then she couldn't take care of me at home. I couldn't dress myself completely. I could get some. Always had a daughter stopped in every morning on her way to work, and it was too much. So we came on into the home, and 3 months later, she had a stroke, the same exact date that I had my first stroke.
Oh, no.
There's a little something meaning there. She lived for 2 days, never regained consciousness. It's been a year of a lot of emptiness, and of course I had a lot of things that I was involved in and called down. But yeah, it was like Christmas especially.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had, with her gone, with me, they told me, they had told me they didn't think I'd get well, but not to where it was before. January 17th, at a meeting with an neurologist. Second stroke I had in October of 18. They did 3 MRIs the next morning, and they said there was a crushed, or it all attached with the spine, of course, a crushed nerve in my neck and a pinched nerve in the back. He had said he would be willing to operate. He told me that in about November, and if they'd take me off a blood thinner. And I told my doctor, I said, I've got to, I can't live like this. I'll take my chances. Went back to him. We talked. He spent 45 minutes reviewing everything, and he said, if you want surgery, I'll do it. I'll do everything I possibly can. And I was starting to get a little bit scared. But he says, I don't think I can do you more than 20% good. And those aren't the odds that I like. There was so many possible things going, total paralysis. So that's where I am, the whole right side, but it's about 85% paralyzed, the whole right side. I've had therapy, all places, and working on it, and they tell me that it never will get better, but I can keep it from going worse. And I'm doing 1 to 2 hours of activities every day, and some days, why am I doing it? I guess why did I keep on farming when it wasn't good? When there were bad years. Now I got some bad years now, so that's kind of where it's going, and I have no idea where I'll be in 1 or 2 years. We have sold, we're in the process of selling everything I had in the farm, and I had another disease, which they all said I was starting in about late 90s. I had old iron disease. I collect and restored antique farm equipment. We had a big sale. I was going to bring one of those sale bills along to show, but I had about 70 or 80 pieces of antique equipment and tools and signs and everything. And that had to be one of the first things. So we set up a sale date, and it was all set up before my wife died. Because some people say, oh, she died, so you're going to sell. Now, that was decided on. Different people said, and then we said we had a big antique sale, advertised nationally. There was some inquiries from the Netherlands because I had, there were 90-year-old tractor. Everything was running. That was the only way I'd have it. It had to be running. And well, it's going to be hard. It'll be hard to part with your antique stuff, yeah. But 9 days later, we sold a household, and that was harder. That was my wife's stuff, and that was harder to part with than all my whole bunch of antique stuff. And yeah, a lot bigger crowd for that sale, but yeah, so with that, I didn't have time to really mourn her. It was May 1st when she died, and we had to worry about this sale and all that and get everything ready, and now we're still in the process of the real estate, and my son moved in, so they're taking over, and he's continuing the farm the way it was. So that's what we like, not the way it was some days. It was all the hogs running around, dairy cattle, beef cattle, even sheep one day. One year, 300 lambs I fed. That was the only time I bought something else, something that was born elsewhere. And it just, weather conditions had it just right. There was plenty of grain out there, pasture. And well, that's all. Let that go to waste. Well, I bought them. I was in the market for them. And back there again, back through the National Farmers Organization, they found a place, guy that wanted to sell a couple hundred of them, 300. I put them down southeast Ohio. I bought them. And that was one time when the price fluctuated. The price fluctuated that way. I made out good on that. And I was smart enough never to do it again. Generally, when something like that happens, you've got to get in and do it again. But so anyhow, so and then I was the livestock marketing director for them for Northern Ohio here. 1995 had the facility that I operated. We had the national organization had 26 livestock collection facilities in 12 states. The one that I had in 95 was the highest percentage of increase for the year. That went back to the part, it was people telling people. I couldn't have done all that. It was people getting a job done for them, getting them a little more money by coordinating things, and I loved doing it, but it took its toll on me. So with that, and then in 2017, I've received different, here and there. I was inducted into the Seneca County Agricultural Hall of Recognition.
That's great.
And that was decided on by my peers. And it was it was almost more than anything, a religious order or spiritual orders that we got, because this was something that I couldn't believe it. I mean, I couldn't hardly believe it. But yeah, it was because part of it was the work I had done in those 3 states, getting people gathered together. And so anyhow, that's part of the story.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I had for that 3-state ministry work, I have a plaque on the wall that was issued by Pope Benedict the 16th.
Wow.
And there's been 12 of them in history issued in the Toledo Diocese. I've got one on the wall. It was a proud moment. But the Agricultural Hall of Recognition, back down to our my own peers, that was one I just couldn't hardly believe.
All right, well, thank you, and that's all the questions I really have. I really want to thank you so much for doing this. So much.
You're very welcome. Hey,